These are Brotherhood with my co-host, Miss Carrie Paluro. My name is Gordon Watt. Miss Paluro, what is going to be today's topic? And explain to the viewers what we be getting once I start setting this all up, Brown.
So I really want to talk about attachments, like how we can become attached to a particular person, place, thing, outcome of a relationship, um, and how my attachment actually gets in the way of me allowing the relationship to flow and evolve and organically be created. So essentially, I get in my own way and I blow shit up.
You blow shit up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, let's be real. That's what happens when I try to control shit.
Yep, she always does that. Now let me ask you this. This is kind of deep. It's a deep one because there's so many different types of attachments. Correct?
Yes, yes, yes,
Now, the types
yes.
of attachments, what are you going to be going over so we can have an idea of what we should be expecting?
I think what I really wanted to go over is something really super basic of just becoming detached from your perspective. I think that's the
Oh,
most
that's good.
important thing because when I'm attached to a particular perspective, that's when it affects all these other areas.
Correct, correct,
You know what I
correct,
mean?
correct, correct. Now, let me ask you another question. How many of these attachments have you overcame?
Like, I mean, I think it's
That's
just
so
like a
funny.
never-ending flow, right? Because it really is. It's learning over and over again to become detached from my perspective. Like
Ah,
my perspective is not right, it's not wrong, it just is.
yeah,
And there's so many different interpretations and perspectives about everything. And so if I'm just
correct.
open, then I think my life becomes happier because
Okay,
I'm
okay,
not
that's
like
so
so closed.
juicy.
Yeah, my life becomes happier because I'm not so like zoned in on
Right,
like a rabid
right,
dog on this
right.
one thing.
Give me a story. Okay, how about this? We go. I want to dive into im- how females get attached to guys.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I don't. I mean
I
that.
got
Then we
stories
might
for
go.
that.
We might go down to a rabbit hole with that though. So that's what I want to see. Like, how does that and what have you learned by doing all this work
Oh man, I
that
mean,
made
this
you see
really,
a different perspective?
yeah. Oh God, you're gonna bring up a story. Being attached to relationships. I think um, my last relationship, I became very attached to it, and I can, looking back in hindsight now, I can see why because my last relationship, it lasted for 6 years. And
Okay.
that's when I found recovery, right? And
Right.
decided and personal development. And so I was in this relationship with this person who really supported me along that journey in the beginning when I was like in the infancy of personal development, right?
Yup.
So
Okay.
there was that connection that was there. However, I think sometimes when we connect with someone, well, at least for me, when I connected with him, when we had all of this history, I was making the history mean something about me, something about the relationship. And really, the history was just like this might have been a little blip in time where this person appeared to support me through a particular time in my life, right?
A phase, a
Like,
season.
yeah, a season. People
Okay.
come into your life for seasons. It doesn't mean he was going to stay the whole time. I became
Right.
attached to the idea that, oh my God, he might stay the whole time. He will stay the whole time. Right? Like, and when I become attached to that idea, and then, when you realize that, oh, okay, like maybe we're growing apart, maybe, and I honestly, I think all of that is perspective too. I've learned so much about perspective. But back then, I viewed him in a different way. And so I held him in a certain light that he couldn't. Um, I guess I blamed him for a lot of things, to be quite
Did you?
honest. Like, yeah, absolutely. I
Oh,
blamed him. Yes, he was so supportive. It was so great. But I felt like he held me in these with his own judgments, but really it was me judging
Okay.
me. Right. So I formed this judge, like I'm saying, okay, he's holding me in this space because I'm going through recovery and he sees me as an addict or
Right.
an alcoholic or whatever it may be. He sees me in that and he can't see me any other way. Now, looking back now, I can question that.
Okay. I was saying, okay.
I can question that at my
Okay.
perspective back then because I was so judging myself.
Okay.
He was my mirror. He was reflecting back to me the way that I was looking at myself, but I didn't see it that way.
Okay. Okay. But then again, too, now, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, when you're talking about attachments, so you're attached to him because of certain reasons. He's
Correct.
mirroring you.
Yep.
Was he also in the life or was he
Eh,
clean?
So, oh, he was he was like a normal person. He was
Oh,
clean and
okay. Okay.
yeah.
I know
But
the
he
type.
did live the life with me for a period of
Right.
time,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like
Right.
he lived in a life, but his he didn't believe necessarily in personal development. He
Oh, I see. I see. I
yeah, we
see.
had very two different perspectives. He believed in the religious piece of it. Like the
Okay.
religion is my um is where
Hmm.
he would find healing. And for me, I needed additional work. Like we would have these conversations where he would tell me that you just need extra help. And I was like, but instead of accepting that and going, you know what? Thank you. Maybe I do right now. It's okay.
Okay. Now, pertaining to our title today,
Yeah.
attachments. Okay.
Yeah.
Explain to the viewers how your emotional attachment to this person versus what you have with Abel today as a changed woman.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
Oh my God.
I think my idea of relationships back then was different. I felt like, oh my God, if we went through this whole storm together, we must be together, right? Like
Right.
that was
Okay.
kind of my idea back then.
Hmm.
Um, and I wasn't understanding that there was also like a lot of resentment, a lot of things that were present in that
Mm,
relationship that
mm,
I wasn't
mm.
releasing. So there was a lot of work that I hadn't done. So, yes, I was attached because
Okay.
I thought that this was the way, right? Like, relationships are hard. You're supposed to go through all these things together, right? Like all that stuff. Um, where today I realize that it really is just about my, it is about my perspective and how I view Abel. If I view Abel or my partner, whoever it may be, if I view them as, man, they're just a jerk. They don't understand me. They're
Okay.
constantly judging me. And my attachment to that story
Yes,
will
yes, yes.
dictate the outcome of that relationship.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and that's so true. It's so, so true because you have a perspective that you're attaching in because of your beliefs that we talked about
Mhm.
last week, which one was all
Right.
which was first, which came second, all this stuff and all this good stuff. But how did you actually realize that attachments didn't play a role in your life?
That they did not play a role.
Or did it?
Oh, that's so deep. Holy
you
shit. That is
know
so
we
juicy.
we know how we do it here.
Yeah, because really it's the attachment's fucking made up. It's not real. It's whatever story I'm making up in my head of, oh my God, like I have to be with this person. Oh my God, we've been through so much together. Only he will get me. Um,
Oh my goodness.
it is totally the story, and it actually goes into like even deeper. That's how I become the author of my reality
It's
is
true.
is my attachment to all of these stories and my
True.
ability to detach from the shit that no longer supports me and
True.
create a new perspective, a new story to follow.
Yeah, yeah. And then so you basically made excuses for him thinking you was attached to the person. But how does it change now when you don't have you might have attachment because of certain things or
Right.
certain things that's in your head, right?
Right.
How does it work? Is it different from saying a personal attachment or an emotional attachment?
Oh man, I think they both go hand in hand,
True.
right?
Okay.
Because the
Explain
emotional
that though. What's your perspective on that?
if I am not in touch with my body and my feelings,
Hmm.
when if I feel like I am going to experience a loss, right? Let's just say that a loss of a person.
Okay.
Um, and if I am not in touch with my body and I have those feelings and emotions, maybe because the thought goes in, oh my God, I could lose this relationship.
Okay.
The feelings that go through the body, maybe hollowness of chest, feel like I'm going to throw up. Like I create feelings in my body, which then create emotions from
Correct.
that.
Correct.
And it's all about interpretation. So if I feel like I'm experiencing loss, I am going to create a thought, which is now going to create an emotion in my mind. And then it's going to create this anxiousness and, oh my God, I have to do whatever I can to stop this feeling. The reality is, I want to stop the feeling from happening, but I think of it as the person, I think of it as something outside of me
But
rather
it ain't.
than,
Yeah, but it's
pardon?
not. But it's not.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
It's about me. It really is about getting into like yesterday, I just sat and I fucking just cried. Just probably for about
You
like
have a
15
moment?
minutes. I just had a moment of crying. And I was sitting there and I'm like, "Oh my God, how fucking cool that I'm not making this moment mean anything about me or about anybody else. I just recognize that some emotions needed to come up and just let them come up."
Wait a minute, wait a minute. So, okay, this is something I can speak about because this is like you've suppressed these emotions for so long, and now
Yes.
they're coming out of the surface, showing its head. How do you deal with that?
Well, I
How are
mean,
you dealing with it?
in the past, I could have said, you know what, it's so and so's fault. They triggered me,
Of course.
right? Of course, right? Like, um, and it was just like, oh, I'm gonna go sit out. I felt everything coming up, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go sit outside and give myself a moment, and that's okay. You just allow it all
It's
to come
okay.
up
Yeah.
and not make it make any kind of meaning, not assign it to anything. Just
No, okay.
appreciate that. Okay, I'm feeling sadness, and I think I want to cry. And maybe my body just needs to get rid of this. And that's cool.
You're at that. It's that stage that you're there because yeah, because you've suppressed it for so long.
Yes. And I could totally, but if I'm not careful, and in the past, I have assigned it to a circumstance that's currently happening, when I don't know, this could be from a death I experienced when I was 6 years old because I've
Yeah,
suppressed it for so long.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's really about getting to know myself at that level of
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is just, it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to make sense or have any meaning. Like that is,
But that's
uh,
so cool
it's so
because
powerful.
it's so cool. You know why? Because those are some of the emotions that you've suppressed for so long that never been dealt with.
Right.
But now you have the capability to deal with it and to accept it and to figure out that did it stir from something going on or you just it was just came out of nowhere like oh you know what it is. I know what it is, Carrie. You have a good life now.
Could be. Yeah.
Because you have a good life now, you don't have to protect, you don't have to build walls, you don't have to do a lot of different things, you don't have to do things where you have to compete, you're not auditioning, you can actually be you.
Mhm.
And that is, woo,
Oh,
you
that
know, it
was
gets
so
better
interesting
than
because
that.
as you were just saying that, what the visualization that came in was like the armor just finally dropping and everything
Finally.
that was underneath it just being able to come out.
Right, right. And then how does that feel?
There's like a freedom in that.
You release the backpack.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause that shit was heavy.
Oh, of course it was heavy. Yeah.
It was heavy. And I think it's so beautiful too to be able to have the that experience of just feeling the emotion, just not making it mean anything.
Well, no, because no, you recognize. See, the thing is for me and you alike, it's like we suppress it so much because we're in life, drugs, all this stuff, protection.
Hmm.
You know, fast pace, boom, boom, boom. Once you're able to slow it down, and you cannot actually like even when I watch my kids, right? I can watch my kids all day just be retarded, like ridiculous,
Hmm.
right? Okay, but then that makes me feel good because I never had those feelings because I have a good life. Now,
Hmm.
if I'm in the fast pace and I'm doing this, I'm doing all this, I'm making excuses. I'm attached to the grind. I'm all this. I'm making excuses. I lose these moments. You had a moment which is, and let me, how addicting is that emotion?
Oh, it
It's deep,
it
huh?
it,
This is
it was
deep.
just like such a freedom. It was such a freedom, and I was just kind of like, oh wow. I had not really I mean, I've experienced it before, but to be able to catch it when you're in the moment is a whole nother
I was
ball
just about
game
to say, yeah.
of cool. I feel this coming up. I'm gonna go give myself permission to feel it and it be okay. I don't have to make it mean that Gordon and I had a conversation and
No,
he upset me or that Abel and I are fighting or
yeah,
it's just
no.
like, oh cool, I feel like crying.
And it wasn't for, see, the thing is, here's the thing, the crack in that wall,
Yeah.
because you attached yourself to so many different things and made excuses that held resentment, that crack, that floodgate is going to open.
Yeah.
It will. So I'm be prepared for that, because when you're able to self-reflect in that kind of sense, that's going to be a liberation for you that
Yeah.
going to help.
Yeah, and and also looking at it, it's interesting because I'm realizing that I was so attached to
Yeah,
making everything make meaning because it all had to make sense in
to
my
you,
mind to me.
for you,
Correct.
for it to work.
Yes.
Give me
And
an example, an old example, because
an old
yeah, I can do a comparison, right? An old example of you. So in case somebody might be going through this that might want to work with you, this is how you used to be, to how you can get to, right? Because you
well,
went through everything.
I mean, I think an old example would be a disagreement, like having an argument with my partner back
Uh-huh.
in the day, and then um, like coming to an understanding, resolving it. But 2 days later, I feel some emotion coming up. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna make it mean that I'm still he hurt my feelings. Do you know what I mean?
You're gonna blame back again. You're gonna
I'm
throw
going to
it back
blame
on
it back on
something
something
else. Yeah.
because that's the current circumstance. Like
Mm-hmm.
my brain wants to blame the current circumstance around me. Something must be the cause of what's coming up. And it doesn't necessarily mean that that's absolutely true. It could be just mirroring to me, hey, you get to go here.
Yeah. 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 Give me a current situation on how you dealt with that
How
between you and
I
Abel.
Oh
Or
my goodness.
oh my, hey, every time I hear oh my goodness, this is when it gets juicy.
Well,
This
because
is
I'm
where we,
thinking, I'm like,
yeah, I know it happens.
yeah, I'm thinking. So I think a lot of what comes up is my mind wants to interpret his behaviors and his conversations with me during the day when he's busy at work. Because I believe there is this expectation, like I'm attached to an expectation that no matter whatever's going on in his life, when he's around me, he should be able to focus on
Shut it
our
off.
conversation, shut it
Oh,
off, right? Yeah, like
okay,
shut off what's
okay,
going on here.
okay.
And that's absolutely ridiculous to assume that somebody can do that, right? So whenever he is
It's a
in
skill set.
whenever he's in his stuff at work, um and you can tell with body language and then me trying to have a
Right.
conversation with him, like why am I constantly expecting him to be a particular way or be different, I guess you could say, when he's who he is. He's who he is. He's always been this way. I get it. And I get to make it not like I get to understand how he responds to certain stimuli and not
Okay.
make it mean anything about me
Right.
or about our conversation. So like I think
Right.
that's a constant practice because his job is very stressful. So
Oh,
he is in a
absolutely.
constant state of stress.
Yeah, I've said that something. He's like, he's a he's a defense attorney, criminal.
He he no, he's a workers' comp attorney.
Okay. Oh, that's stressful too. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
because everybody's trying to get money, regardless.
Yeah.
He's on the opposite. Yeah, so it's like he's got to look at different angles and everything else, and to be able to shut that off because even though if he does shut it off, he's trying to think of an angle. Now,
Right.
if he's trying to think of an angle, then all of a sudden he explodes on you when you're attached to an expectation or something that should be this because it's you, but that's halfway owed you, halfway knew you. So it's
Yes. Yeah, so there is, and it's funny because there is like this evolution that's occurring where I'm like, oh, it's like I feel like there's an in between, right? Like I'm not fully the old version, but I'm not fully
Right.
enlightened, if you will. I don't think everybody gets there. I don't think you get enlightened to the point that you're just like, oh, nothing phases me. Um,
Right.
yeah, like there are these moments where you take it personal and then and just to catch it and be like, oh, yeah, I'm taking this personal. This has nothing to do with me. This is whatever he's got going on. Just, allow it to be, you
Is
know.
it is it is it hard for you, or is it getting easier to be the enlightened Carrie versus the rambunctious family?
It's
That I
you know,
mean,
it's
yeah.
getting easier, and
Okay,
this
good.
this is why is because when I'm attached to a particular outcome or experience or wanting somebody to behave a certain way, I because I'm attached. Me personally, I like to put my hands in the mix and try to control that shit. And so all I do is create more problems for myself. But when I can just
More
set
shit on your shoulders.
yeah, and it really is about my perspective of that having to control things is coming from fear. And
Always.
so if I am in fear when I'm making a choice and I'm choosing into the fear, the fear is the energy behind it. I'm perpetuating fear. I am going to perpetuate the outcome that I do not want. It is not going to occur the way that I envision it.
Right. Okay. So how about back to the attachment thing? What else type of attachments have you noticed from your old self?
Mhm.
List out some of them to how have you changed to new you now? Because that's what's interesting to me, right? Because you've caught it. Whether it's going to be that personal physical attachment, that financial attachment. You grew because you've been through all those stages in life. Which one stands out, and which example helps? Because the modern woman nowadays with the modern man
Mhm.
are both just they're it's gonna implode and explode at the same time because you're seeing it happen. How does that attachment, and which one of those that stands out from you, the old Carrie? Because to me, it's fascinating, right?
I think, there was an attachment of I have to have a partner and I have to be married and I have to have kids and I have to have all of these things. That was like
Yeah, as
an older
older
version of me.
belief
And yeah, and it all came from a
passed on.
particular belief and like, oh my God, I am going to be too old to experience these things. Like that's a old belief too. Right.
Okay.
And so I can become attached to those ideas of, oh my God, it has to happen before I'm 35.
Right.
Right. Like that used to be my story. It has to happen before I'm 35. And then it's just kind of like, oh, why, like, maybe I can just honor like the things that have come into my life and appreciate them and just appreciate the learning and just be like, oh, okay, cool. Like what I really deeply desire is wasn't available to me back then because I wasn't available
You
back
wasn't
then.
ready.
Correct.
Right. You
Yeah.
wasn't ready.
So
So
it's just letting go of that.
so let me ask you this now. Now the attachment to that old belief system,
Hmm.
that in what they call the industrial age model, right?
Hmm.
That's what they call it because it was brought out from the Great Depression. Those type, save the money, get married, all that old
Yeah.
stuff, and it was generations 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s from the 1920s. Now you come into the new age with these attachments to these beliefs, they don't work anymore.
No, no. And in fact, it's really comical because it used to bother me when
Did it?
my family would always be like, "So when are you going to get married? When are
Uh
you going to
huh.
have kids? When are you?" And I'm
Right.
like, maybe I don't want to do all that.
Right.
Like, maybe I'm okay where I'm at. But it would like I would allow it to cause me anxiety and go, "Oh my God, I'm supposed to be here." Right?
It digs into you.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And so I was just kind of like, I remember my dad was like, "Hey, are you going to get married?" And I'm like, "What if I don't? Is it going to bother you?" Like, I mean, really, because I'm unattached to the outcome of that right now. You know what I mean? Like
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because you was
this was like
actually the
10 years
black
ago.
sheep at that time.
Yeah, this was like 10
So
years ago. I'm like, come on. But even today, it's like there's so you can create whatever type of life that you want, and it can be an
Abs.
amazingly successful life. It doesn't have to look a particular way or fit into anybody's mold. It can be
No, it's
whatever you
yours.
want it to be. And as long as I'm not letting or allowing the outside noise to impact my decisions, that's the
Mhm.
most important piece right there.
Yep. 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 I mean, that's so true because once you get the noise out of your head, the noise that's filtering, filtering from other people's opinions, their justifications, their shit, what you know, and then you try to tell somebody else this thing,
Hmm.
that shit don't work because you're just polluting your own perspectives, your own happiness, your own things that you know better. Because let me ask you this: what happens when you see a woman that you know is attached to this dude, right? What kind of advice do you give them? Because now it's like, oh, you already shook your head.
I mean, yeah, because I'm like, oh, I've been her.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. That's
I've
why I
totally
know.
been her.
Yeah.
Um, it really is okay. Take a step back and
Okay.
look at what do I believe that this person is giving me that I cannot give to myself, because that's what it is.
Taker syndrome.
Yeah, like what do I believe that he is in control of or that he's giving me that I cannot give to me? Because that's absolutely uh the fact that something outside of me can give me something that I cannot provide to myself is a bullshit lie,
True, of course.
right?
Now,
But when I unwrap it like that, it's kind of like, oh, then I realize that this person is and this is how it can go even deeper, is just like, thank you for being my mirror of where I get to go within myself.
right, right.
And I don't need to look for you to provide that to me. And if in situations like that, if I can begin to provide that whatever it is to myself, sometimes the relationship can actually work out because
Oh,
I'm
of
no longer
course.
looking for that person to provide this thing. As long as I'm looking, like I'm making them my God in a way.
Yep, yep, yep. How does it? How does that? What's the worst combination of attachments you could have put together from the old Carrie? I make you.
Oh my God, because I look at my old relationship where it was like anxious,
Right.
like this anxious attachment, like because I was very
Oh,
anxious
anxious attachment.
and he was very avoidant. And actually, I think I was more disorganized than anxious back then.
Okay.
And disorganized is I would go into both. I could flow into both, and that was
Uh-huh.
just like whoa. Because it was this push-pull dynamic of, oh my God, I want you here. Never mind, I don't.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like, never
Yeah.
mind, I don't. You're cool, but stay over there. And then it would be like, oh my God, I'm lonely. Come close to me. Oh my God, no, stay over there. And it was this constant, and it just created a lot of confusion in the relationship. I would confuse myself,
Oh,
and it created a lot of resentment and like hostility, unfortunately.
because it builds from there. If
Correct.
it doesn't, you're not working to a common goal. You're not even happy because you're not even happy with yourself. You're doing a push pull effect that doesn't even
Yeah.
work for you because you don't know what you want.
Right.
How is it now? How is it now with the work you've put in yourself? In fact, let me rephrase that. With what did you do different, and what was the realization that that didn't work, and what did you do to pursue
So I
it?
I really got clear on what exactly was happening in my body. Like, okay, let me learn a little bit more
Physically.
about my attachment, and let me learn about what's occurring in my body, because that's the thing I'm afraid of, right?
Okay,
And
that's fair.
as I began to study more about like being anxiously attached and learn about where it came
Yeah.
from, and how I established this when I was a child and all the things, and I was like, oh, okay, by doing this work, I can recognize the other person and hold compassion for them, and where because Abel can be avoidant, right?
Of
And so
course.
I can take it personal and get pissed off, or I can be like, oh, okay, based on what I know about him and his past, he has developed like an avoidant
His way.
attachment,
Yeah.
his own way, and that's
Yeah, his own
okay.
way.
And it doesn't mean that it's like a full, like he's full blown in it all the time. But in the moments that it comes up, and I'm just like, oh, it's activating me,
Yeah.
right? It's
Okay.
activating me, so I know where I get to go in those moments where I'm activated. I'm just like, oh, this isn't personal. This is a protective thing.
Yes, 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 absolutely. And but then again, too, the avoidance thing as a guy, right? It's easy to be avoid in that state, that avoidance, because it might be better because what if he says something he cannot take back, an action that cannot take back? So it's like you said it perfectly last week. He's protecting you.
Yes, yes. And so I used to get so angry because I was like, you're fucking avoidant and that's bullshit.
Right.
And then I realized that I was like, oh, it we can label it all we want,
Yes.
but is the labeling supportive? In the way that I was interpreting it, it wasn't supportive.
No.
So how about
No.
I just remove the label and say, hey, let's look at it from a neutral perspective now. And so that's what I started doing, was just like, okay, it doesn't mean anything. And
You
don't
reframed it.
assign it. Yeah, just reframe it. And like if I live in a constant state of reframing, and it doesn't work all the time perfectly, because shit, if I'm like in this heightened emotion, my ability to calm the fuck down and look at things neutrally, it may not happen like that. I might need to go take a moment or a day.
It
You know
may it
what I
might
mean?
take 2 days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, it doesn't take like 2 fucking months like it used to, you know?
Oh.
And I think that's noticing the
Oh,
progress
that is
there.
huge. It didn't take 2 months because now it'll take maybe 2 hours, 2 days, but not 2 months where you're holding all that crap inside.
Yeah, and I mean, and if I'm really being honest, I can tell you that there are moments where I was just like, "Fuck you," and I would just blow up the whole
Yeah.
relationship over
Right.
it, you know.
Right.
Um, when now I can
That
just
was your
be like,
out, actually.
"That, yeah, it absolutely, yeah," because I didn't want to have to face off with me.
Yeah.
Let me just blow this shit up because you're reflecting to me where I get to go, but I'm not ready to go there yet. It's
Right.
easier
Right.
to
Right.
blame you.
But see, that's the cool part of being this person now. Whether it's age, whether it's wisdom, whether it's self help, whether it's doing these things, that you get to catch yourself and be the person that you always were meant to be, but you just didn't know how to.
Yes.
Right. You
Yeah.
just didn't like me. I didn't know how to be this non-angry, non-actionable type of guy because I was trying to do it for everybody else except for me.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's deep because now it's like there's no need for the violence. There's no need for the you know what I mean, the frustration. It's all the control. It's all about doing something. But when I see these dudes now and how they react, I'm like, man, this is a whole different game. Like,
Hmm.
look, these guys got. Let me ask you another question, right? Pertaining to attachments, which one is more powerful? The physical attachment, the financial attachment, or the personal attachment in your ranking,
Ooh.
in your head?
I think it's emotional.
Emotional attachment, is it? Would that be like a kryptonite?
For me, it has
Uh-huh.
been in the past, yes, because of my inability to be able to manage my emotions,
Okay.
the um the emotional attachment to the person, place, thing, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But if we're
Doesn't
talking
matter.
about relationships,
Yep.
to him, the emotional attachment to him would be so strong because I'm relying on him to manage my emotions for me. I'm outsourcing it.
Repeat that. Give me an example of that in case a woman might be even in this state. Give a situation where you could be an old situation, how that whole scenario, what you just said, the outsource the emotion that made it work for you, because that's kind of interesting because I know some people want to hear this. I want to hear this shit.
When I'm expecting you to be a certain way. So let's say we get into a disagreement. We have a disagreement. Um,
Okay.
Maybe I have an ability to process, process where I'm at, or I'm ready to resolve it right now. But you're not, because you need some time, right?
Okay.
Um, Now that can go a couple of different ways. Like I can be neutral about it, allow you to come back, but no, I'm fucking ready now. We're gonna talk now because I'm pissed and you need to know that I'm pissed. Like this is an
Okay.
old version of me. I'm
Right.
pissed and
Right.
you need to know I'm pissed. So
Right.
you better get ready because we're going to have a conversation.
Okay,
Now,
motherfucker.
yeah. And there's this expectation of
Right.
he's going to show up to this conversation and be able to make me feel better because he is going to see the light. Once I tell him how pissed off he has made me, he is going to see the light in the error of his ways. And he is now going to and accommodate me. I know this is so good, but no, this is how I used to fucking think. I'm serious. He will.
Okay.
He is
Oh,
going to
jeez.
accommodate me, and because once he sees my perspective, he will
Okay.
now understand that he is in the wrong. It was so much about me being right. And I needed I in that moment I needed him to be wrong and me to be right in order for me to emotionally feel good. And so
True. Okay.
I needed him to, and that way I'm outsourcing him. I'm outsourcing my emotions to him because if he doesn't come back to the conversation, noticing the error of his ways, holy shit, what does that mean about me? That means I'm not important. I suck, and I am not worthy of a
That was what you
relationship.
thought,
Right, right.
and you made it real.
Made it real. Yeah.
Okay.
When he could
Now,
just be like, "Hey, I disagree.
yeah, that's okay.
Like I'm not enrolled in your perspective."
I mean, because you're trying to force it down somebody else's throat when it's like they
Right.
have different belief system.
Correct.
Now, the new Carrie that's not attached to everything else emotionally,
Hmm.
because you found yourself, are you still finding yourself, still dealing with it because it's a work in progress every single day.
Hmm.
How do you deal with a situation like that now? And how does it work for your relationship?
So, like, I love that you asked this question because I really have been super mindful of if I just take a moment and I focus on the greater good of
The bigger picture.
the bigger picture, the greater good of the relationship, the fact that we both really love and care about one another.
Mhm.
If I ground myself in that energy and have the expectation of the best possible outcome and really believe that, but go into the conversation from a neutral place of we're going to communicate and create the best possible outcome together. We're going to co-create this together. That is exactly what I will create. But if I go in with an attachment of being right, I am not going to create the best possible outcome because what I will create is this resistance where we both want to be right and prove the other wrong.
Yeah, yeah. For and where is that going to end up for the bigger picture or the greater good for the relationship or whatever?
Right.
It's not going to end up anywhere, and it's not going to do you any good because now you're going to hold that resentment.
Yeah. And if I have to be right, if I have to win an argument, that means there's a loser. And who wants to be the fucking loser?
Yeah, I mean it's a natural thing. But if on the debate side, right?
Hmm.
If I'm putting if like 2 weeks ago we said you're serving him in a better state of mind. He's serving you. You
Hmm.
guys are both serving each other in a way that makes the relationship more important than anybody's winning or losing.
Hmm.
It has the best outcome,
Hmm.
right? Where in today's society, there's always a winner and a loser in today's relationship. That's why people can't, they don't date no more. Then I said, what do you guys do? You guys, oh, they got a DM to IG first. I said, you guys just don't talk to each other. I'm like, they said, no. I said, what?
It's crazy. It's like, let me hide behind all of these things because I'm
That's
not
what it
being
is.
taught how to manage my own emotions and how to show up. And I at some point, I believe that every person gets to take responsibility for, yes, I went through a whole lot of shit in my life,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
but I'm responsible for cleaning it up.
Mm-hmm.
It has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with other people. Thank God I went through all of that. I learned some valuable lessons, but how do I get to
Oh,
show up today? And I think that the hiding behind the text messages or DMs and all that bullshit, that is just a way of avoiding the work.
yeah, absolutely. Because nobody want to delve deep into themselves. It took me sitting on a bunk, wishing God give me one more shot. While all my friends are going back in. In fact, one of them just came out from doing 20 years just 2 days ago.
Mm.
He did. They got lucky because the laws changed. Another one of my friends just went back in. Like, He's 60 something.
Wow.
He's done. Like he's done. No matter what it is, because you don't want to do the work in yourself, right?
Yeah.
And once you kind of hunker down and figure that out, like have you done, like how I've done, like many more that you're helping, how many more I'm helping. It's to the fact where the lane that you chose is from the experiences that you've done to create the best version of yourself, right?
Yeah. And I think at some point I realized, oh, I'm creating the same thing over and over again. Um, I'm dating the same exact guy with a different face,
The
and
same character,
I'm showing up the same exact
same way.
way. And so it was just kind of like, and I've said this before, it's like, oh, I'm the fucking common denominator and everything.
What did you, let me ask you this. Oh, how many, we got time. How did you feel when you found that, when you actually took accountability for that?
I think that aha moment,
Yeah.
because someone actually said that to me, where I called um, a mentor and I was complaining about my relationship at the time. And this was, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 years ago. And I'm
Right.
like complaining to her and I'm going in this whole thing. And she's like, cool. Yeah. So tell me about your relationship
Cool.
before
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm telling her
Yeah.
about the relationship before that. And I'm like going on and on. And then I started talking about my dad. Like I'm just like talking about all kinds of stuff. And she's like, wow, you have a lot of stuff going on. And let me ask you, what is the common denominator in every single one of these stories?
True.
It's you. So whenever you're ready to take accountability for your behavior, that is the moment that you will change everything around you. And I was like, oh, well, like at first I was kind of pissed, like, how dare you? And at
Of
the same
course. Yeah.
time, when I let it sink in for a minute, I was like, oh my
Uh-huh.
God, there's a freedom in that, knowing that I'm in control of it
Because you can change it.
because you can change it. Yeah. Nobody else can change it. I was looking outside for everybody else to
The
change it.
only person can do it. And that's where a lot of people miss the mark on that. When I
And
went, yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
I
Go ahead. Go ahead.
agree.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Because you
Oh,
had a thought.
yeah, I had a thought because I was thinking about the way that I view my relationship today, right? Like the way that I just see him in I see the way he shows up. See how caring, how loving, how he's a provider. Like I have all of these things that I appreciate about Abel. And
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh, wow. What would have happened had I shown up with that energy in all of my past relationships?
Before.
Right before, like, and when I really get honest about that, I could probably have made any relationship could have worked
Worked.
based on how I showed up to it. But
Right.
I got to learn all of those lessons, and then
Right.
it's okay.
I say it's okay. Yeah. Because you're in a better relationship at a better time. Your season of life for what the man up above provided, whoever have faith in, made you go through this stuff to help other people,
Yeah.
to talk on this type of podcast, to be in a relationship, a loving relationship, which is not perfect.
Mhm.
Like no relationship is perfect, but at least you have the things to deal with instead of blowing shit up and throwing a grenade in it.
Mhm.
Boom. And that's the cool part because imagine all the women that's going through in this day and age that's just doing that to protect themselves for nothing.
Yep.
How much time they're going to be wasted? How much relationships you're going to go through that don't even realize that you're the common denominator and the problem.
Yeah. And and I do, like, on occasion I will have a client that will just not be willing to accept
At
that
all?
at all. Well, temporarily. It'll be a whole brand new idea of, what do you mean?
Oh yeah.
Um,
And
and
you'd be
then
like,
I'm like,
oh
but
yeah,
hold
I was
on.
there.
Hold on. You've done this work in other areas of your life. And that's a moment where I get to use other areas of her life. And, like, look how you were able to change these areas. A relationship is exactly the same way.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so funny because this way, I mean, geez, we blew through 40 minutes again.
We always do.
Yeah. But then let's go. Let's end it with this. What do you have to say about people that are attached to so many different things for no reason at all? Let's go end with that. In fact, what would you say, right? If you need,
My experience of when I in the past or even now when I'm attached to so many different things, it's because I'm trying to control. Yeah, there is this fundamental lack of trust, or I
mm,
feel out of control in my life.
mm-hmm,
And this is my way of trying to control so that I feel safe in my body. So there's some emotions going on that I'm uncomfortable
yep,
with and I'm not willing to sit with. So I try to control everything so that I can control the emotions in my body.
yeah. Is that the advice you would give the modern day woman now?
I would say to look at all of the areas that you're trying to control and you're holding on so tightly. All of that, when I think of holding on so tightly, I just feel like I'm walking around like this, right? Like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm about to explode.
Explode, yeah.
I am actually causing more discomfort within me. And if I could just let go,
Ah,
I'm telling you, Gordon, this is so fucking true for me. Every time I just let go,
go.
I look at my hand and there's nothing I was fucking holding on to. It's just claw
Re-
marks.
Really, nothing. It's all in
Nothing.
your head. It's all in the
All in my
emotions.
head.
All of us to nothing. And that's what I tell my wife. It's like some shit, just let go. What for?
Yeah.
What for? It's like you have everything. You mean when you look at it, you have everything from the inside out externally.
Hmm.
Things work out for the best,
Hmm.
right? All right, let's go end it with there, right there. We're gonna end it on that note because that was a deep, good one. In fact, I will invite you next week Tuesday, same time. It's Gordon Watt from Boundaries and Brotherhood. And then if you need to work with Miss Carrie, end the show.
Oh, Carrie Polero with Worthy as Fuck. You can find me on Instagram at Carrie Polero.
Nice. All right, guys. Aloha. You stop that. Boop. Let me end that stream. Let me see what it different attachments. Your stream will start again and you will not be like, boop. All right, perfect. 47 minutes editing studio.